Good night, good night. Wanted to make a video, kind of spirit on it hit, or the spirit of this hit me. Just driving around aimlessly. It's 12:37, South Florida, raining like crazy. We've had like multiple inches of rain, or rainstorms with multiple inches coming down at a time. So it's been pretty freaking wet. But been watching some investment videos, long-term investment videos. That's usually how I think in terms of just, what I'm gonna do. Going into the end of this week, I'm finally gonna be signing the papers to close my house. I should, if everything goes smoothly. I gotta get the money out and then have my mom wire the money for me, because I have to show the silver that I sold as a gift. So I'm gonna give her the money. She's gonna wire it like she's giving me the money. Kind of just have to do that so I don't have to go through the back and forth with my jeweler saying, hey, this is certified. There's so many things you have to deal with when you're like getting a home and trying to sell assets or liquidate assets to fund the closing. But yeah, so that should be coming at the end of this week. Happy about that. So this is going to be a MGTOW video. I got heat a little bit from mentioning MGTOW on the last video. I don't think he watched the whole thing, and he didn't understand what I was trying to say. Really, it was just, and respectfully, I told him, I said, listen, this is like, who's gonna take care of you, so on and so forth. Shout out to MGTOW. Love your work and love everything that you do. I'm actually kind of moving in the same direction as MGTOW. With getting this place out in Georgia, as you see in some of the other videos, or I think my last video maybe, or video before the last, I'll be getting decent sized home sitting on 18 acres, not out in the middle of nowhere, but in a small town, a lot smaller than what I'm used to, which is I'm sitting in downtown Fort Lauderdale right now on Broward Boulevard in US 1. By the tunnel, if anybody knows that area. So I'm literally sitting there by the Templeton Investment Building. So that's where I'm at right now. But kind of moving in his direction, where it's like, okay, what I want to do eventually, much like him, is get to a point where I want to pay off my home, and I want to do that fast as possible. I'm looking to hopefully pay off the home. It's about 206 grand. So I'm hopefully going to be paying that off within less than 10 years. If I can do that, that'd be awesome. Just got my mortgage information the other day. I should be paying about like $1,283 or $1,260 in mortgage a month. That's with PMI. Once PMI drops off on that, because I did less than the 20% conventional. Once PMI drops off, I should be paying $1,070 or something like that a month in mortgage. So that's gonna be good, and I want to get to the point where I can pay off for that home, and then not really have to like push myself to work or whatever. Then that brings us to the investments. What I want to do first is pay off my truck. I'm working towards probably getting a second job, a little night job, so I could pay off this truck maybe in like 6 months or so. Balls to the wall, kill the payment. It's about 20-something grand. I know I can do it. I've done something like this before. I paid off 30 grand since October of last year, so that was really good. I mentioned that in the last video. So as a MGTOW, I got to mention it to stay on topic here, but as a MGTOW, we're looking at a life where we're going to be doing this in a sense by ourselves. Like there's no, of course there's no mommy and daddy helping you or anything like that. I don't want to sound condescending. Let me change those words. You don't have your mother and father helping you, going through this process. You don't have brothers and sisters possibly helping you going through this process, because at the end of the day, you're a man, and in some cases you might be in either Alpha, MGTOW, or Sigma, or what have you. However you feel you fall in that spectrum. But at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility for everything that you're doing. So in terms of when you're getting old, and this is one of the things that was a point of contention in the last video, I believe, that Vincent had pointed out, was it's like, you're saying I should get married to, no, I'm really saying, I think he had mentioned like, hey, should I get married? Not should I get married, but you're saying I should get married just so someone can take care of me in a later portion of my life. And what I'm saying is, as a MGTOW, you're not really going to be doing that. You're going to be doing this yourself. You're going to be moving away from the notion of a nuclear family or a certain support structure, or that familial, I believe, is, or family-based support structure. I'm trying to use big words here, but you're trying to use this. You're trying to have this family-based, or you're moving away from this family-based support structure to one where it is just you. And if that's the case, then what you're going to have to do is, work on investing and putting money away, short-term investments, your risky stuff when you're a little bit younger, going into your more long-term investments, getting a home and building up equity in that, so maybe you can either use it later on. I would prefer not to really use my home as I don't really like to look at my home as an investment. But even with the home that I'm moving into, if I was looking as an investment, I'm putting $6,000 down, or $63.90 down, and right off the bat, because it was listed at $229. When I found it, it was listed at, it went down 10 grand, so it was $219.5. And then I offered $213. After that, going into the process a couple weeks later, it got appraised for $230. So me going through this process, and I like to always talk about those numbers because I think it's a really cool thing, and I feel like really happy about how everything's going so far and how the numbers are looking. But looking at it, or going through all of that, I'm looking at walking into 17 grand, or point of it is I'm looking at walking to 17 grand worth of actual, what do they call that? 17 grand of appreciation. Like, that's amazing to walk into 17 grand worth of appreciation, putting down 6 grand. So again, I guess you would say I net probably a little bit under, 11 grand or something like that, right? It's like, if you want to take out the initial amount of money that I put in. So that's really cool. I really like that. Actually, probably even more. No, if I put in 213, I think it would add that 63.90 to the 17. So then, if I was to add that, let me know if my math is wrong. But I'm new to this, but it's probably simple math, so I'm using that as an excuse. But I'm probably walking into about 23.90 worth of equity, I guess you would say. Yeah, 23. Yeah, 23.90 or so, or 23.390. So if I'm looking at walking into just under 24 grand worth of equity, it's worth it, because essentially that 6 grand that I put in should be equity, or take down that loan, the 213 that I'm actually requesting. No, forget it. I'm sorry, I'm not really good at this stuff. If there's anybody there that's smarter than me in the comment section, please help me with the math on that one. I don't want to keep onto this because it's embarrassing. But essentially, I'm walking into the home with that equity, and that's great if you look at your home as an investment. If you don't look at your home as an investment, well, what else can you do to actually make good investment decisions, or make investment decisions that will help you later on in life? Well, one thing, of course, is your Roth IRA, 401ks, and other retirement accounts. Putting money into those just to make sure that those accounts can pay you later on in life, so they can take care of you. Having proper medical insurance, and making sure that you have all the money that's needed to handle your elderly expenses. So another reason why this got started like rattling around in my head is I'm looking at things like I was listening to a couple female podcasts, And it was just amazing, some of the things that these women are doing, and they're putting themselves through. Because you can tell that they don't like it. You can tell that they are actually, they're actually doing things where it's, in a sense, a sexual urge, and it's kind of like, you know not what you do. Like, you know, you don't know what, you don't know the consequences that will come of this. You know, one girl's talking about, like, I was listening to Cocktails, and it's like cock, and then TALES, and of course there's the Cocktail Queens or something like that on Fox Soul with Ice Cube. That's a whole different show, and that's just crazy with, you know, how black women are acting in that. But listening to Cocktails, and one of the girls, you know, you could tell, like, you know, that she's talking about how she's saying, you know, I think she's laying down with her godson or something like that, or god kid, and she says, well, you know, I don't know if I'm ever gonna find anybody. Well, and, like, you know, the kid has to give her wisdom, you know, and it's a cute moment. And, you know, kids are smart, they see what's happening, but it's just like, you know, in those, like, little moments, how are these women feeling? How are they going through this? And what are they actually really thinking about? Is it actually something that's beneficial? And then, as a man looking at it, bitch, I don't want that shit. Like, you're just looking at somebody and it's like, whoa. I mean, I was looking at the chick and I was like, wow, that's going to be someone's fucking wife. Holy shit. This is going to be someone's fucking wife. Like, there's some guy out there right now that wants to love and hold and console her and be loyal to her. And then as a MGTOW looking at this and saying, holy shit, there's nothing out there for me. And I'm not trying to be defeatist. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm not trying to be, you know, woe is me. But when you've looked at, you know, when you've looked at the old MGTOW text, if you will, you know, Stardust and Barbarossa or Barbar, you know, like, and or Human, you know, I think he's I'm not sure if he's a newer, I think he's been around for a while. There's another guy that sounded much like Human. I think it was a black guy, something Fish, I forgot his name. And, you know, and then others that really define the MGTOW space or are legends within the MGTOW space, or even a Vention MGTOW, you know, listening to him. And it's just like, when you see all of this and you see what these women are saying, what they're doing, how they're talking openly about some of the wild and crazy shit that they've done and they're doing. And okay, you see men doing the same thing, but it's just like, okay, even with the men that are doing it, bro, you're not finding anybody that's going to actually be there for you. You're not dealing with women that are going to be in terms of they're not going to be there in long-term relationships, and the women are doing the same thing on the other side. So if you're in a position, or if you're putting yourselves in a position where you're not, let me move a little bit. If you're putting yourself in a position where you're not looking at things long-term, male or female, because we have to admit, some of these niggas is bitches too. You know, like, some of these motherfucking dudes is just as bad, if not worse, than these women, thinking that they can get away, in a sense, with this in a long-term view of it. So for the men that are listening, doing things like, and I'll put a video, I'll put a link of this video in the description, but I was listening to a video a little while ago, if anybody knows about it, the 17th Street Causeway Bridge, or the 17th, I think 17th Street, that doesn't sound right, but the 17th Causeway Bridge, here in Fort Lauderdale. There's a spot, like a parking area underneath it, and a lot of people go fishing under there. Really, really nice, good chill spot. But I was listening to the video while I was under there, under that bridge, I guess like a troll. And I was listening to this video, and it's this Aussie, and he is talking about having dividend returns of $1,000 per month. And I'm like, whoa, this is gold. You know, I sent it to my nephew. I sent it to some of my athletes, or actually 2 of my athletes that I'm still in contact with, that I always try to make sure that I'm there for. You know, we had a really good connection and all that. So I always try to send it to younger people, younger kids, send it to some of my coworkers. And it talks about, hey, listen, the value of, or the power of compound interest, the value of, a long-term investment strategy. So if you wanted to do, some of the numbers were like $1,800 a month if you wanted to have a portfolio that maybe yielded you $1,000 per month in dividend income, or dividend-based income. It doesn't go into the stocks. I mean, you could just buy AT&T and can do that, and it'll do something like that. But if you wanted to, you can do little things like, or you could find the right dividend portfolio that will produce probably about $1,000 per month, depending on the mixture of stocks that you have in there. Of course, you want to diversify stocks, ETFs, what have you. You want to diversify and do things to protect that wealth as well, or that money, that wealth generation as well. But it's that is a low-key retirement plan, or low-key, high-key, however you want to say it. But when I look at this, and I'm looking at it from, okay, I'm going to move to Georgia, Waycross, Georgia. There's really nothing out there. What happens if I get fired from my job and I can't find anything? Well, I got an investment account where I have investment accounts where I could pull down and liquidate the assets and probably be good for a good year or so, with just mortgage and other home expenses and stuff like that. Maybe find a little quick job, probably even do some contract work. But getting to a point where I can pay off all of this stuff and I can live a life where I'm going to be a MGTOW monk, or, probably having 1 or 2 chicks I'm boning, and then wind down and chill, and I'm just living my life, I want kids, but we'll see how that works. I don't know. I'm thinking about surrogacy at this point. But in this video, getting back to his numbers, he was saying if you wanted to do a $1,000 portfolio, and you're gonna do it in 10 years, you're looking at I think $1,400 at a 6% interest rate, or 6% rate of return, and $1,800 a month, $1,400 a month, and $1,800 a month at a 4% interest what's it called, rate of return. So I was like, okay, that's a lot, but if I can get the 2 jobs, that's actually pretty doable in 10 years. But working 2 jobs for 10 years, I don't know if I want to do that, but I will if I have to. But looking at longer term, if you're looking at a longer term view of it, going out to 20 and 30 years, at the 30-year mark, at the 20-year mark, it would have been $450 or so at a 6% rate of return. And then about $800 at a, what's that? $800 or so per month at a 4% rate of return. Then he went into a 30-year. And that was probably about, I think, maybe about $200 a month at a 6% rate of return, and about $400 at a oh, my battery's going low, so I'll make this quick, at a 6% for $800 at about a 4% rate of return. So when you're looking at something like that, and you're looking at long-term longevity, making sure that there's going to be some type of money for you when you get older and you can't work, and you don't want to live off of government assistance, you don't want to live off anybody else in your family, you want to live a MGTOW lifestyle, or maybe even a nomad lifestyle where you can travel from place to place and be a digital nomad that you could work anywhere. These type of things you have to think about. You really have to say, okay, in the long term, I don't believe there's any female prospect out there. I don't believe there's going to be, maybe there's not going to be much in the way of family for me. I'm going to have to do something to provide for myself, not just for now, but into the future. until my timely death, until my time comes. So really, I guess the point of this video is I gotta just close this up. It's gone on for a while, but a bit of a rant here. But it's just, if you're a MGTOW and you're out here living this life and you're looking at, hey, I'm probably not going to be doing this with anybody else, and I want to make sure that when I get old, because I'm looking at my dad, I'm looking at these women that are out here at the age of 50 plus 60, you know, I think it's like Lisa Ray or something like that. Not Lisa something. She's on that Cocktail Queens on Fox Soul. She's 50 plus and looking to make an OnlyFans. She can do that. She's going to get money. Lisa, whatever her name, Lisa, whatever her last name is escapes me right now. But she can get that because she played on Players Club, on that movie about stripping and shit like that. Like, she can get that. She's gonna get something like that. But there's a ton of men and a ton of women that will not have that opportunity. Will not have a fan base that's gonna pay them for anything. Much less fucking OnlyFans. Nobody's gonna subscribe to just me or somebody else on an OnlyFans. What am I gonna do? Twerk a keyboard or some shit? So we gotta be thinking about these things. We gotta be thinking about things where we're thinking about the longevity. We're thinking about things into the future and how we can actually support ourselves. So we won't be that, you know, that person that's lived their life and haven't saved anything. And the worst part is, you see so many men that have these family structures, that have, you know, people that are that they helped raise. They have the wife and the kids and all this shit in the house, and the only motherfucker that's loyal is the dog that's probably fucking dead by the time they reach the end of their fucking life. They had all these things, they did all these things, and they still motherfucking turned out motherfucking just doing the shit alone. Not having anything. Kids don't want to take care of them because they old. The kids got shit to do. Now you a burden on your kids. If you had any. We just got to think about these things, you know? Like, we think about we talk about red pill rage and everything else like that. As I like to call it, the maroon pill. It's a little bit darker. It's a little bit black, you know. It's just like, you know, you hate everything. It's the rage pit. It's the red pill rage phase. But after a while, you have to calm down. You know, I won't call it a fucking pink pill, but after a while, like, you don't see red that much anymore. It's a little bit calmer. You're still focused. You know, you're still saying, hey, I don't like this about relationships. I don't like this about the social contract that's been broken. I don't like that. But then we just have to, at some point, you sit there alone and thinking about these things, and it's like you can get caught up in the moment, but you also can't forget that, hey, I got a life to live. I can't be running around doing all this stuff for a long period of time. You know, like, we got to do things that'll put us in the winner circle. Not every one of us is going to have a multi-million, billion-dollar idea and, you know, have enough money to live off of, you know, because of that. Shit might still happen to me even with these thoughts, and I might still fuck up everything and still be left freaking destitute, no damn house, no nothing. But as a MGTOW that is moving towards living their life, maybe, you know, living a life of maybe just complete solitude, how can I work with this, you know? Like, what's the reality? Anything can happen. Anyways, MGTOW is not about just, you know, looking at female nature and how they operate, how you can interact with society, or how men are treated in society. It's also about, you know, how you're going to operate in the long term and staying focused and making plans to always stay in a positive or a higher position, if you will. I hope this helps some people. If you have any questions about my thoughts in investing and some of the people that I watch in investing, and what my thesis is, if you want to look at my M1 finance portfolio or anything like that, a couple people that I listen to is Joseph Carlson show. Solving the Money Problem is really good. I do listen to Epic Economist, Silver Report Uncut. What else? Who else is the other? Bull Boom, Bear Bust. What else did I listen to? I used to listen to Richard Wolff quite a bit. Then I listen to like a lot of different people all over YouTube that talk about different investing. Graham Stephan, you know, he's good. I like what he says. It's a little bit more commercialized now and polished, but I usually like the gritty ways. The get into it, give me the information and go get what I can from it. But hey, if you guys have any questions, let me know. As always, thanks for listening. It's just me venting and thinking, so I appreciate those that do listen, that give likes and give 1 or 2 views, and I hope you make it to the end of the video and don't get too bored. All right, peace.